Today, inside of Excel Lesson 2, we're going to go a little more in depth with your knowledge in Excel. We're going to build upon what you've learned, and we're going to be including a little more formulas. We're going to learn a few more formulas, how to calculate formulas, whatever formula we like to calculate, we'll learn how to do in this lesson. And then also we're going to learn how to filter information and sort information. So inside of Excel Lesson 2, you'll need to download the starter. Here's the instructions you can see here. I'll be referring to the instructions. If you watch the video, you don't need the instructions. So scroll a little further down. Actually, I'm going to refresh the Canvas page so it looks like what it looks like for you when you get in without everything opened, like I had it. All right, this is what it looks like for you. So just scroll down and click on the starter document right there, and then you'll hit the download arrow and go ahead and download that starter, and then open up that starter. When you get the starter opened up, you're going to see on the bottom there's a bunch of tabs. Don't worry about all these tabs. The only tab you need to worry about is the inventory report, the first one which it should be on. So I'm going to scroll up to the top and we'll get started on the inventory report.
So the first thing I need to do is I need to insert 3 blank rows above row 1. To insert 3 rows simultaneously, I'm going to click on row 1 and then highlight row 1, 2, and 3. Once I have those all highlighted, I'm going to right click and hit insert. I'm saying I want to insert 3 rows like so. Now in the instructions on number 4 it tells me that I need to make the following changes to the new rows. So first, in cell A1, I need to key in the title everything Coke. Then I need to grab A1 and drag all the way over to G1 and merge and center A1 and G1. So here's my merge and center button right here. I'm going to merge and center A1 to G1. I'm going to zoom out a little so you can see a little more. There we go, A1 to G1. Now, the next thing is I'm going to go to cell A2 and I'm going to type in inventory list. From inventory list, I'm also going to merge and center from A2 to G2. Perfect. Now I have my 2 titles merged and centered. Now I'm going to change the spreadsheet's theme view and colors to yellow. So I'm going to go to page layout, and then from there I'm going to find the themes section, and in the themes section I am going to find a themes section that I think looks nice and professional. So we have the original office, but on this I want you to choose one you like yourself. I want you to be able to mix around and look and say, hey, what do you like? And you choose whatever you think looks professional for your document. So for my document, I'm going to go into view for this time around, except as you can notice it does change what it looks like overall, and just want to make sure that's what I want. I'm going to go into view. So from there, now I have my different type of theme and what it looks like. I am also going to now go and change my styles up here on A1 and 2.1 to make them stand out a little more. So I'm going to highlight A1 and 2.1, and I'm going to add a dark gold fill color. So to do so, I'm going to go back into my Home tab, and then we have to use something just like we used from last time when we used our lessons, where we're going to be messing with our cell styles and our fill colors and whatnot. So here I have my fill color where the paint bucket is. I'm going to go and find the fill color, which is dark gold. So that's a yellow, that's kind of an orangish. I could go more colors and get more in detail where I think there's a dark gold. That's up to you to say. I'm going to go with, I'll go with that color right there. I'm going to hit OK, and there we go. Now, I'm going to change the font color to white. So here's my font color. I'm going to change that to white. And then after that, I'm going to increase the font size in A1. So I'm going to click away and then click on A1. And I'm going to make the font size become 24. After that, I'm going to go to A2 and make the font size 20. Perfect. And now I'm ready for my next step. So I'm going to go ahead and save. It's always good to save wherever you're at. So hit the save button, and then we're going to move on to the next step. For the next step, we are going to make some headings, because you can see we have all of this information in columns, but let's give some details to our columns. So I'm going to click on cell A3, and in the instructions I'm on number 7, so if you use the instructions, I'll bring it over quickly to show you. We're going to be typing in this information from number 7. So the first thing I'm going to be typing in is item with a hashtag, description, cost, selling price, quantity in stock, inventory value, and then total profit. And again, I'm going to zoom out so you can see how everything's looking. Now with my new view, it's a little difficult to view. So there we go, now you can see everything. Alright, now with all of these, I'm going to give them all the same heading style. So I'm going to come up to my styles up here like we've used before, and I'm going to be changing the looks of how all my headings look. So we're going to go to Cell Styles, and from Cell Styles I'm going to choose Heading 4. Then after I choose Heading 4, I'm going to add an accent 3. So inside of Cell Styles, you also, well, as you know, you have your headings and whatnot, but now I want to change the color of my headings. So that's the next step we're going to look at, is how to change the colors. So inside of my row 3, to change the different types of shading colors, you can click or drag down and look right here. So I'm staying on Heading 4, and I'm going to put a 40% accent. Perfect. Now I'm also going to change a few other things. I'm going to bold this, and I'm going to center the headings. I'm going to center them vertically and horizontally. So right now I'm centering them vertically, so they're in the center of up and down, and then horizontally, so they're in the middle from left to right. Now that I have finished that task, I am going to click away, and then I'm going to move on to my next step, which is number 9. So in number 9, I want to apply a currency style to the amounts in columns C and D. So to do so, I'm going to click right here on column C and then highlight over to column D. I'm going to do the drop down, and I'm going to find currency. It's finding all of my numbers, and it's putting in the currency format style. Alright, now as you can see, we can't see all of our words that well. It's starting to look a little ugly. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Always hit save when you're working in here in case anything happens. And I'm going to change some column widths. So we're going to go through and change the column widths right here to get them to match up. So to do so, I'm going to go to column A, highlight column A. I'm going to come over to Format. From Format, I am going to go to column width, and I'm going to make that 20. Column B, I'm going to auto fit the content. So I click on the Format button, right, and I hit auto fit column width. Alright, column C. In column C, I'm going to Format, and actually I'm going to be doing column C and D, so I'm going to highlight both of them. Then I'm going to go to Format, and I'm going to make column width 12.25 and hit enter. Now, E I'm going to auto fit. Remember, we can go like this and do auto fit column width, but I'm going to remind you how to do it another way. You click in between when you move your mouse over, so it changes into like a little plus like that with arrows on the left and right, and double click, and it auto fits the content for column E. And then I'm going to go to column F, and I'm going to change the column width to 15.50, and okay, perfect. Now I'm going to center the contents of column E. So in column E, you may have to center the icon twice, but I want all of this to be centered. So I'm going to highlight column E, I'm going to come over and make sure it's centered. So I had to hit it twice, as you can see, to get it to center. So again, I'll do that one more time. Click on column E, hit it once or twice if you need to, until it gets all in the center. Alright, perfect. Now we're going to perform some calculations. I'm going to go ahead and save where I'm at. We're going to be doing some new formulas and calculations. And we're going to come up with some inventory value and some total profit. So the first thing you need to know is that up here we have our formula bar. And whenever I type equals, that means I'm about to do a formula. But as you can see, I'm doing a formula right now in cell F12. That's not where I want to do my formula, so I got to come out of there, so I'm going to delete that out. I want to go up to my very first formula where I need it to be, which is on cell F4. So in cell F4, I'm going to calculate the value of inventory. To make this formula, I'm going to do a multiplication. So I'm going to type in equals. And then I'm going to say, well, what do I want to multiply? I want to multiply the cost, so I want to take the cost. I'm going to click on this cell right here. C4 is my cost. And then I'm going to grab that asterisk right there, type in the asterisk, which means multiply, and then I'm going to multiply that by quantity in stock, which is E4. So in other words, to get the inventory value, I'm going to take the cost and multiply that by how many I have. So taking the total amount I have multiplied by how much it cost me. So in total, I have $164.70 worth of BB caps that are red, because I have 135 and they're selling at that price. So I made a calculation that says C4 times E4, what's the total? Now, I need to do another calculation as well. So in G4, I need to calculate the total profit in inventory. So if I was to sell everything, so again, I'm going to go up to my formula ball because I'm about to make an equation. I'm going to say equals. All right, the equal sign is letting me know I'm about to do an equation, because let's try this without the equal sign. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do without this. So I'm going to, without the equal sign. So I'm going to take my selling price, which is right here, and I minus, look, it's messing with that box. That's because, so I'm going to undo that. That's because I failed to tell this cell right here I'm going to put an equation in it. So here we go. I'm going to type in my formula bar. Equals, and then now I'm telling Excel, all right, I'm about to do a calculation, get ready. I'm going to take the selling price and I'm going to subtract that from the cost. And what that will tell me, that tells me my total profit. So in other words, I buy each cap at $1.22, but I sell them for $14.99, so I'm really getting $13.77 in profit for every one I sell. So now that I have that formulated, I am going to want to fill in the rest of these as well and get all this information in. So to do so, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab my fill handle. So right now my cursor is turning to a black plus, and I'm going to drag it all the way down, right there. Now, that took a little amount of time to have to drag all the way down. So in the next fill handle, I'm going to show you a new fill handle operation that's quicker. Instead of grabbing this and dragging it all the way down, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to put my cursor right over it, turns into a black plus, and I'm going to double click. And when I double click, it automatically formats all the way to the bottom when until there's nothing else on its own, so you don't have to worry about dragging. So that's a great way you just learned now, is that you come here and you double click to see. Alright, I am now wanting to change the styles of my numbers and information, so I'm going to make sure to highlight column F. I'm going to change column F to accounting style. Then I'm going to come to column G, and I'm going to change column G to currency style. And between those two styles, you can notice a little difference. The difference is here's my sign for money, then over here my sign for money is right up against the number. So there's a little difference in styles. Now you can see both of them. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and save my progress, and I'm going to move on. Now in row 45, which is on the very bottom, row 45 right here, I'm going to use the auto sum button to determine the totals for columns F and G. So I'm going to come over to column F, and I'm going to come right back up to our home tab. As you remember, the auto sum. I'm going to click auto sum, and then yes, that's what I want. I want the sum. So I'm going to go ahead and enter and say yes, give me the total for all of F4 through F44. And then I'm going to do the same thing here as well, but instead of doing the auto sum button, I'm just going to copy that formula. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to double click, drag it over because it doesn't know where it's going. So I'm going to grab that and drag it over, and it did an auto sum function for as well in row G for me. Alright, I'm going to do a few other things to make my document look a little pretty. So I'm going to come up to A45 through E45. So here's A45 through E45, and right through there we go, A45 through E45. I want to merge and center and make that into only one cell. Now inside this cell, I'm going to type in total. And then with the word total, I'm going to right align the word total. So I'm going to click away and then come back here, and now I can go ahead and right align the total so it's over all the way to the right in that cell. I'm also going to change the cell style. So I'm going to go up to the cell style. I'm going to give it a total cell style right here. And now that's a little formatted better where you can see the total for my documents. Now, I don't only want to know the total, I also want to know a few other things. and I'm going to type it in right here in cell B47 and B48 and B49, the other things I want to total. Before I do that, I'm going to make sure to save my progress. Inside of the equation auto sum button, which we've learned, we're going to learn some other functions. We're going to be learning how to use the average and the maximum and the min for their next section. So here we go. I'm going to first format where I'm going to be putting this information. So in cell B47, I'm going to type in the word maximum. In B48, I'm going to type in the word minimum. In B49, I'm going to type in the word average. Great. Alright, in cell C47, I'm going to be determining what is the maximum for column C. So column C again was our cost. So right now we're going to change something up so I don't have to keep scrolling up and down. We're going to learn something called the freeze pan. So in order to see the freeze pan, I'm going to make it so it freezes all the information on the top so I can see it very well without having to keep scrolling up and down. To freeze the pans, I'm going to come all the way up to the top, and I want to have cell rows A1, A2, and A3 to all be seen and never go away when I scroll down. Like right now I scrolled down and it went away. So to get these to be seen at all times, I'm going to click right here in cell A4. What I'm going to say is I want all of these to still show by coming over to my view ribbon. So inside of my view ribbon, I'm going to come over and find freeze pans. Now in freeze panes, I'm going to down click and I have three options. I'm going to just click on the very first one. This is freeze panes. And it's going to freeze anything that's above that, wherever my cursor. So my cursor is on A4 and it's going to freeze everything above A4. So I'm going to click over on that. But before I do, I want you to notice another thing. It's also going to click anything to the left. But right now I don't have anything to the left. So we're going to mess around to show you a little. So I'm going to click it right now. And as you can see, nothing happened from what you think. But as I scroll down, look, it frees those top rows. So now my cursor, my cell's still highlighted on A4. I'm going to go ahead and unfreeze the pans. And when I scroll down now, it all goes away. So let's say I want to freeze everything here, and then I also want to freeze everything in column A and B. So I'm going to click on cell C4, and it's saying when I freeze the panes, it's going to freeze everything to the top and everything to the left from this cell. So let's go try it. Freeze panes, freeze panes. See some lines just drew right there. So let's have me scroll down. Everything's still showing on the top. Let's scroll over. Everything's still showing over to the left. So now you know how to use freeze panes. But I'm going to unfreeze that because it's not what I want. What I want is I want only the top stuff to stay frozen. So now I'm going to click on freeze panes and hit freeze panes. Now I'm going to scroll down and we're ready to do the maximum for my cost. So column C is the cost. So to determine that, I'm going to make C47 my active column. I'm going to go to my home ribbon now. And then from the home ribbon, I'm going to go to the auto sum function where the equation button's at. And then I am going to click on max. It's going to say, well, what do you want the max of? Do you want the max of all of this? And no, I need to be a little more specific. So I need to scroll up and start where my max is, which is going to be C44. So it's going to be only for the cost column. So I want to know what's the max value of everything in the cost column. So I have C4 to C44. Now I'm ready to hit enter, and that's my max cost right there. So now let's look for the minimum cost. I'm going to come up here again to my equation. I'm going to go minimum, and then the same thing I need to highlight from C44 all the way to C4 and hit enter. That's my minimum, 35 cents. And then the average, the exact same thing. We come up to the equation. I'm going to choose average. Make sure I highlight the right cells for what I need and hit enter. Boom, now I have my average and I'm able to see all of this information. So I also want to know this information for some other sections over here that I have. We are going to copy the results of C47 and C49 to D47 and D49. So I could come here, go into my home tab, do the auto sum, and do all these buttons again, but I'm not going to waste my time doing that because I'm going to fill by using my fill handle that right now. So I've taught you the way where you grab the fill handle and drag it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to highlight these three right now, and we can do multiple fills. So in other words, I'm going to highlight all these three same formulas over to these cells right here. So I highlight these three, I get on the fill handle and I drag it over and I let go. And what does it do? If I come up here, you can see in the formula bar that it's doing the max, the min, and the average just like I did right there. So it's filling various calculations. So great, I just got that task done. I'm going to save my progress. I don't want to lose that. Alrighty. The next section is I'm going to change the format of the numbers in E47 to E49, and I'm going to also get some information in E47 and E49. So I needed to go a little further over, and I'm going to fill this information all the way over to G. So on that last step, I'm going to undo that. I'm going to highlight it again. I'm going to show you where I'm at, and I'm going to say, you know, I just don't want only D. I want to do it all the way over to G. Perfect. Now I got it all. So now I am ready to change the formatting on only E47 to E49. So I'm going to change the numbers to have no decimal place. Now there's two ways to do this. So I'm going to highlight these, and then I'm going to come up here, and I can use these buttons right here, so I could add more, or I can get rid of some decimals. So I'm getting rid of the decimals, like so right now. There's another way to do so. So you can use the right decrease decimal button, or you can click on the pop-out box right here. From the pop-out box, I can come up here and say decimal places, 0, and hit OK. So either way, you choose. Now you know there's two ways to do it. Alrighty. Now I'm going to go ahead and save my progress, and I'm almost ready to finish this assignment. The last thing I want to do is I want to sort all of this information that I have. So to sort this information, I am going to highlight everything. So I'm going to come up to A3, and I'm going to highlight A3 all the way down to G44 right here. And I'm going to sort all of my core information. So to do so, we're going to be using a new function which you've never used before. We're going to go and find our custom sort button. So over here on the right hand side, you can see we have a sort button. I'm going to click on the down arrow, and I'm going to click on custom sort. From the custom sort, I'm going to come over, and I want to say I want to sort everything by the cost, which is right here. I want the cost, everything to be sorted by how much it costs. And then I want it to be smallest to largest. So in other words, the smallest amount of money to the largest amount of money. Now I'm going to add a second level sort. So I'm going to hit add level, and then I'm going to sort it by the quantity in stock. So how's it getting this information, cost and quantity of stock? Well, it's taking it from right here, what I have in A3, and that's why I included A3 when I highlighted everything, so those names do show up. So make sure that you did highlight the names. So I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to highlight from A3, get all the names in there, and then get all my information all the way down to A44. I'm not sorting the totals, so I'm going to leave the totals out of this. I'm going to come sort and filter, custom sort. I'm sorting first by cost, smallest to largest. I'm going to add a second level sort. I'm going to sort by quantity in stock, and I'm also doing that from smallest to largest. And then I'm going to hit OK. When I hit OK, you're going to watch everything's going to be reorganized and sort by first cost. And then if there's anything that's duplicated, like 35 cents and 35 cents, it's going to then sort it by quantity in stock. So any duplications, like I have 122, 22, and 22, it's going to go ahead and sort those then by quantity in stock if they have the matching cost. All right, I'm going to now hit my save button, and I want you to see something. I'm going to go to File and Print, and you're going to notice that it's cutting off a lot of stuff. It's putting it onto 4 pages, which looks ugly. I don't want it to print off like this. So we're going to change it so it looks a little more beautiful when it prints. So I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to go to Page Layout, and I'm going to change my orientation to Landscape. Now when I change my landscape, you notice this line was actually over, let me go change that back to Portrait. It's right here, this little dotted line. You can see it right there. That's showing where it's going to be printing. When I change that to Landscape, it's showing now the dotted lines over here. So when I go to File, Print, let's see what it looks like now. We have that page, we have that page, and we have these pages. So it's still looking ugly. So first, to get this fixed, I want you to go and change the orientation to Landscape. Make sure you know how to change the orientation to Landscape. But then we're not done. That does not look ugly. So we are going to change this even more. And we are going to come over to our Scale to Fit. And in here you have different options like automatic, 1 page, 2 pages. You also have the height. And I'm going to click on this pop-out box, and then I can see some other options, and this is what I want to mess with. So I have it on landscape, but I want this to fit one page by one page, or do I want this to fit 100%? In other words, do I want this all to be on one page? I want this all to be on one page. I'm going to hit fit to one page by one page, and I'm going to hit OK. Now let's go File, Print to see what it looks like. And as you can see, it's all combined on one page. Beautiful. Now, inside of that, we're going to change a few other things. So come back over. We're going to click on the pop-out box. It's 66%, as you can see. It's one page by one page. I'm going to hit Scale to Fit. And we are also going to change one other thing. What I want to change is I want to make a header and footer. So inside of Microsoft Word, as you recall, when you made a header and footer, I'm going to grab the instructions and bring them over. You would come over and you could find an actual header footer button inside of Insert. Well, inside of Excel, inside of our Insert ribbon, we don't have a header or footer. So I'm going to teach you, it's a little different how to get to header and footer. So click on Page Layout, and then from there we're going to come over to our options, just like we were looking at, and Scale to Fit. Now, right now it's on Page, but I can come over to Header Footer. I want to show you one other thing. I can also use the pop-out box from Page Setup. So on Page Setup, I'm accessing the same information. So really, it doesn't matter. You can use either one of these pop-out boxes. It's taking you to the same section. It's just either taking you to the sheet, or the margins, or the page, or the header and footer. But it doesn't matter. You can click on any one of these three pop-out boxes. So I'm going to click on one of these. I got my fit to one page to my one page. I'm going to go ahead and come over to my header and footer, and then I'm going to make a custom footer. So on the left side of my custom footer, I am going to put in the name of myself, who I am. So I am Senor Blake. So you're going to put in your name right there. Type in your name. Here in the center section, I am going to put in the name of this class, which is Business. So I could type it all out, which I have to, Office Specialist, right there. And then on the right-hand section, you're going to type in your period. So let's say your period happens to be today 2A. Now I hit OK, and that's what I want for my footer, and I'm going to hit OK again. Now, do you see a footer? No, you don't. So let's go to File, Print to get a print preview, and look now on the bottom, you can see it has my name, the name of the class, and then actually the period I'm in. So I am on one page. It's exactly as I want. It's looking good. However, there's another edit I want to make to my printing view. So the next view that I'm going to change is, well, let me go and show you the actual document. As you notice, we have all of these lines. Let's say I want to include all of these lines within each cell. So I'm going to make it so when you print it, it shows all the lines. So to do so, I'm going to go back to the Page Setup pop-out box, and then I'm going to go to the Sheet tab. On the Sheet tab, we have these print box options. I'm going to say, yes, I want you to print the guidelines. I also want you to print the row and column headings. So when I hit OK, I'm going to come into File, and then Print. And as you can see now, it's changed where it does have every single cell with the lines around it, which are the print lines. So I'm going to go remove those to show you the difference, to remind you what it did look like. So I'm going back in, I'm going to remove them. Let's hit OK. And now when I go into File, Print, you can see they're gone. However, for this assignment, you do need to have them. So make sure you leave them on. So Sheet, grid lines, row and column headings, and now when I go into my print view, we can see what it looks like, and that's exactly as I want it to be for this part of the assignment. You're going to go back and hit Save.
After saving, go ahead and close out that Excel document, and remember to submit your Excel document here to Excel Lesson 2. After you've submitted, go ahead and hit Next, and then move on to the 2 assessments that you'll be having inside of Canvas.